Hey everyone, I'm Armor Gaming, welcome back to my channel and welcome to Monster Legends Monster Analysis on Ntek. When Ntek was born from a massive thunder explosion, everyone expected him to be the type of monster to attack and run, but he preferred to study at School of Magic and he became a remarkable and unique thunder wizard. I have to say, I absolutely love this monster design, by far one of my favorite monster designs that's ever been released in the game. Ntek is also the 2018 Monster Legends birthday monster, so he's not an ordinary monster, he's a special monster. And so let's see if being a special monster makes him unique in terms of stats, skills, traits, and all of that good stuff. So with that being said, let's jump into the stats. This monster's power is 3377, which actually puts him in 17th place, tied with Vanoss. As of the time recording this video, there's a total of 29 Thunder Legendary monsters, so he doesn't necessarily have a high power. However, that doesn't really matter because this monster is not an attacker. However, he does have some pretty powerful attacks, so it's kind of strange, but again, his power definitely not the best in the Thunder category. His life, on the other hand, I would consider it quite amazing. 30,461. In the Thunder category, this puts him in 5th place. And the only monsters that have a higher life stat than this monster are Faraday the Discharger, the Obscure, Hydrotilla the Boltcaster, and Faraday the Electrolyzer. What do you notice? All of those are exclusive monsters: Nemesis Monster, Faraday, and Hydrotilla the Boltcaster, which isn't really fair that 4 Nemesis monsters have a higher life stat than him. Nemesis monsters tend to have a higher life stat than just about any other monster in the category. So excluding those exclusive monsters, Yntec now has the highest Thunder category life stat. Pretty cool. But even when you factor them in 5th place, it's still really good. And then lastly is this monster speed of 3476. You might be thinking, Armor, that's not the amazing base speed of 3498. Well, that doesn't really matter in the Thunder category, because there's no deny monster in the Thunder category that has 3498 base speed. So the fastest monster in the Thunder category is Mercurius, who's an attacker. After Mercurius is Hydrotilla the Boltcaster and Thorder, and now Hydrotilla the Boltcaster is a deny monster, but come on, he's a Nemesis monster that shouldn't even be in the Thunder category. After Thorder and Hydrotilla is Xyla the Faithful, who does have the 3498 base speed, but Xyla is an attacker. So going back to the speed of 3476, this is actually the 4th highest speed stat in the Thunder category, and thus Ntek is tied with monsters like Thyra, ROFL, Teskata, and Griffin. And what do you notice about all those monsters I just mentioned? None of them are deny monsters. ROFL does have a deny skill. He can like stop a monster called Chololo for like 3 or 2 turns, but no one has an AoE deny, whereas Ntek does have AoE deny potential. So Ntek is the fastest Thunder denier currently in the game, unless you want to count Hydrotilla, who I still believe isn't really a fair monster to count. I mean, I guess he is because he's in the Thunder category and he's permanently going to be there, but he really shouldn't be there. As for this monster's trait, it is hardened. All status effects have a 20% less accuracy against it, and what can I say? You guys have heard me say multiple times, hardened is really the best trait to have for your average monster. The only thing that's better now is to have hardened and immunity to possession, which all of the supervillains monster have. But Ntek isn't a supervillain monster, he's a good guy. I should mention that he's actually in the Spirits and Good Legions book. As for his relics, this monster can hold the Trap relic, and I gotta say, that's actually very useful because you can potentially do 2 different things. The first thing you can do is to run the Punisher trap. So like Kihaku, if you have Kihaku, if you've ever faced a Kihaku, he probably runs the Bronze Cold trap, because even though it's a bronze trap, when the enemy monster is frozen, they lose a certain amount of stamina, while Ntek has stun potential. So in a similar fashion, Ntek can run the Punisher trap, which does, when the turn ends, if an enemy is stunned, removes 36 points of stamina from it if it is maxed out to level 25. And so, if Ntek does an AoE stun, stuns everyone, apart from being immobilized, they're also going to lose 36 stamina points for each trap. 36 and 36, he can remove 72 stamina points, which is a little more than 50%. So that's pretty useful, that's pretty powerful, right? Aside from that, you can even run Pestilence Trap if you have it, run double Pestilence Trap if you have it maxed out. Once the battle begins, all enemies' maximum life is decreased by 5,810 points. So if you run 2 of them, that's 5.8k, 5.8k, what is that, 11.6? 11,620 points is going to be reduced from the enemy's HP before the battle even begins. If you run double Pestilence Trap, that's extremely useful. So having double traps, you can pull off some amazing things. And then if you're fortunate enough to have something like the Oblation Staff, this activates when you're actually hit and your life falls below 50%. If we max this out, it can remove up to 108 points of stamina from all of the enemy monsters. So monsters with double trap relics, that is extremely useful. You can do the Pestilence Trap, you can do the Punisher Trap. If you have Oblation Trap, you can do that. I gotta say, right now, taking a look at this monster's speed, his life, his trait, his hardened trait, his relic slots, he's looking pretty darn good. And with that said, let's talk about his ultimate skill, Power Reset. Deals very heavy special damage to all enemies, removes 100% of stamina from all enemies. So it's just 100% stamina drain. For an ultimate skill, considering we have General Thetes who can basically do this on a daily with a regular skill, sure it has the drawback if it drains all of her stamina, but now with relics in the game, losing your stamina isn't really a problem. You can pretty much restore it on the next turn with your own relic or with an ally relic. Still, for an ultimate skill, it's not the best, but at least it does have some form of trying to deny the enemy. Skill group 1 I don't really think has anything worth talking about. We have a simple stamina leak skill, we have a 10% stamina drain, and we have a single stun skill, so nothing too amazing. Let's move on over to skills group 2 where we have current leak. Deals very heavy thunder damage to one enemy, applies stamina leak to one enemy. This is why I said this monster is not an attacker, but he does boast some pretty powerful skills. So 60 damage, 28 stamina cost, and no cooldown. So spammable 60 damage skill, quite powerful, that also applies stamina leak. I'm not going to be recommending skills right now. I'm just going to go through everything in skills group 2 and 3, and then I'll recommend skills. Next up is battery malfunction. Deals heavy thunder damage to an enemy, removes 25% of stamina, and once again 50 damage, 25 stamina, no cooldown. Spammable, this time it removes 1/4 of the enemy's maximum stamina, and current leak applies stamina leak, which I forgot to mention. For the next 3 turns they'll lose 15% of their stamina. So they're both quite powerful, 50 and 60, 60 being a lot more powerful. They're both spammable, one's 28 stamina cost, the other one's 25. But then the question you have to ask yourself if deciding between one of these two skills is which effect is better, an immediate 25% stamina drain or stamina leak that'll be more effective in the long term. However, it actually has to land. If the monster has hardened to Bulwark, it probably won't land, or has a higher likelihood of not landing, I should say. The damage, is it worth being an extra 10 damage? That's really for you to figure out. Next up we have Circuit Breaker. Deals heavy special damage to one enemy, applies 2 stuns to one enemy. Not 1 stun, not mega stun, but 2 stuns. This is the same as double stun. Basically you have 2 chances to apply stun. The best example I can relate this to is Kihaku. Kihaku can do possession and freeze. Either possession will land or either freeze will land, or both will land. Well, it's a similar thing with stun. Either the first stun will land, or the second stun can land, or both stun can land. So you have a greater chance to immobilize monsters that have the hardened trait, the tough trait, the bulwark trait. So I believe this is going to be the new main thing that deny monsters are going to have. It's going to be double this, double chance to freeze, double chance to possess, as opposed to like just a single possession or even a mega possession, a mega freeze. And so this is definitely the next line of deny skills. Circuit Breaker, a really great skill. If single targets has a 95% accuracy, sure you're only going to target one enemy monster, but sometimes in a majority of games you only really need to immobilize one main threat, whether it be the deny monster that can deny you, or the attacker that has 2 strength runes, 1 level 10 strength rune, and you can just stop him from attacking you, which helps you live to the next round. So Circuit Breaker, it's a great phenomenal skill. With that said, we can move on to skills group 3, Major Leak. Deals moderate thunder damage to all enemies, applies stamina leak to all enemies. So deals 40 thunder based damage, 27 stamina cost, 2 turn cooldown. Once again, this monster is not an attacker. Yes, he does pack a pretty powerful punch in terms of his skills, and he applies stamina leak to all of the enemy monsters. Personally, I don't think this skill is that great. Like, the damage output is certainly nice, but not with this monster's power, and then the stamina leak, I think he can do better. So speaking of better, Corrupt Energy applies stamina leak, applies energy leak to all enemies, removes 25% of stamina from all enemies. No stamina cost, so even if your stamina was drained, you still have something you can do against the enemy. In this case, you can stamina leak and remove 1/4 of stamina. How great is that? Considering this monster doesn't pack a punch, you really don't need the 40 damage from Major Leak, or really the 60 damage from Current Leak. Instead, you can apply stamina leak with a skill to all of the enemy monsters and also take away 1/4 of their stamina. So Corrupt Energy is another really great skill given this monster's skill set. Overall, I don't think the stamina leak, the stamina draining is that powerful, given we're in a world where relics really had a huge impact in the game, where when monster stamina drops below a certain percent, they have a relic that recovers their stamina. Like stamina drain, really, it isn't as effective as it used to be in terms of denial. That's why General Thetes has lost a lot of popularity, because now stamina draining, you can really just take care of it with some sort of relic. But I will say, in terms of the offensive player, you can strategically pick when you want a stamina drain, because you can look at the opponent's relics, you can see if they have anything to recover their stamina, you can see when the relic activates, so you definitely do have a lot more control when you're attacking and you're using stamina drain skills. So Corrupt Energy, it's a pretty good skill given the rest of the monster skill set. And last but not least, we have Ideal Transformer. Deals moderate special damage to all enemies, applies 2 stuns to all enemies, AoE double stun. And this skill also deals 35 special base damage, costs 54 stamina, that's quite hefty, and a 3 turn cooldown. However, even with the hefty stamina cost, being able to stun everyone, amazing. And keep in mind, this monster can hold 2 trap relics, which means you can do what I said and give him the Punisher trap And aside from stunning, you can also drain 72 stamina points if your relics are maxed out, or you can give him some of the other trap relics to reduce the enemy's max life. If you give him Pestilence Trap and then stun, higher likelihood of stunning, even if they all have the hardened trait and they all get stunned, then your attacker has an easier chance to knock out the enemy monsters. And so I think in terms of skill set for this monster, it's pretty darn easy. Ideal Transformer is your must-have skill, Circuit Breaker is your other must-have skill. Then you can pretty much choose whatever you want, with my personal preference being Corrupt Energy because it's immediate stamina drain and stamina leak to all of the enemy monsters, and then Battery Malfunction because it's another additional immediate 25% stamina drain. Current Leak, yeah, it's 60 damage, yeah, it has no cooldown, it's spammable, but you really don't need another stamina leak, and I don't know how powerful that 60 damage will be given this monster's power. And then Major Leak, sure it's 40 damage, sure it's AoE stamina leak, but why do this when you can go with Corrupt Energy and do that immediate 1/4 plus stamina leak, and this has a greater likelihood of landing because Major Leak, you know, the thing about skills that deal damage is that first of all, they have a 90% accuracy to actually hit, and then only if it hits, it deals the effect. When a skill doesn't deal any damage, then that skill pretty much always lands unless the enemy has some sort of trait that blocks negative effects. So the stamina drain will always land with Corrupt Energy, but the stamina leak may or may not land depending on the enemy's trait. So once again, Ideal Transformer must have Circuit Breaker, Corrupt Energy, and Battery Malfunction would be my recommended skill set. Skills group 1, there was nothing too amazing. If you want to run Current Leak or Major Leak, that's really up to you. But I always tell people just think about what you would do on turn 1, turn 2, and then even a turn 3. On turn 1, 99% of the time probably you're going to do Ideal Transformer. On turn 2, you're probably going to want to do Corrupt Energy. I mean, why not? It's an AoE stamina leak and stamina drain. And then on turn 3, well, you can do Battery Malfunction if it's going to remove the remaining stamina from an enemy monster, or you can try to stun again if you need to mobilize someone one more time, because Ideal Transformer will still be on a cooldown, and Corrupt Energy was just used and it's going to be on a cooldown. So think about it, is Current Leak really going to save you? Considering Stamina Leak may not land, it's not going to save you in my opinion. And the same thing with Major Leak. By turn 3, do you really want an AoE skill that deals 40 damage and has a 90% accuracy? I don't think so. I think you're better off going with this 25% stamina drain or the double stun. So that's my personal opinion. For runes on this monster, I think it's pretty obvious. Give him your best speed runes to make sure he goes first and he can immobilize the enemy monsters. And the cool thing is, even against a Xyla or a Voltic, you know, the hard thing about denying those monsters is that Voltic has Harden, Xyla has Bulwark. So conventionally, if you tried to stun them, with Xyla it was a 50-50. With Voltic, you had an 80% chance to land. Well now, because of being able to double stun, you have a higher likelihood of actually immobilizing them, even Xyla. It's a 50-50, so I think you have, what, 75% chance to actually immobilize Xyla, which is pretty great. And Voltic, it's what, 16, like a 96% to actually immobilize them. My math may be completely off because I'm doing this off the top of my head, but regardless, the one thing that is true is that having double stun, you have a higher likelihood to immobilize, and that's what makes this monster phenomenal. So Ntek, I'm a huge fan of him, love the monster design, love the fact that he can hold 2 trap relics, and I'm a fan of his stats. His speed stat is great, his life stat is great, his power stat is the only thing lacking, but again, he's not an attacker. He can definitely pack a punch with some of his skills, but that doesn't matter. He's pure denial in my opinion. 3 speed runes, your best speed runes, and that's going to be it for this analysis. Please let me know what you guys think of the Monster Legends 2018 birthday monster. Do you like him? Do you dislike him? How do you think he can compete in the book season, in the Thunder category? Do you think he can put up some sort of matchup against the other Deny monsters? Against Copycat, the other recent Thunder monster? Whatever you guys' thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. Really looking forward to hearing your guys' thoughts. And with that being said, really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you all next time.